In the dense, suffocating jungles of Vietnam, where the line between right and wrong blurs with every step, a story of profound moral conflict unfolds. Today, we're diving deep into Brian De Palma's 1989 masterpiece, Casualties of War, a film that doesn't just show you the violence of combat but forces you to confront the war within the human soul. Based on a true story, this isn't your typical war movie. It's a harrowing examination of morality, peer pressure, and the courage it takes to stand alone against your own side. The film introduces us to Private Max Erikson, played by a young Michael J. Fox. Erikson is our moral compass, a soldier who enlisted with a sense of duty but finds himself in a world far more complicated than he ever imagined. His platoon is under the command of Sergeant Tony Messerve, a charismatic but increasingly unhinged leader portrayed with chilling intensity by Penn. Messerve is a hardened veteran, respected by his men for his battlefield prowess. But the constant stress and brutality of war have chipped away at his humanity, leaving something dark and volatile in its place. The squad is a mix of personalities, all bound by the shared trauma of war. There's the brutish Corporal Clark, a man who seems to relish the violence, and other soldiers who are more followers than leaders, caught in the powerful orbit of Sergeant Messerve. The tension within the platoon is already palpable. They've lost friends, they're exhausted, and they're operating in a constant state of fear and paranoia. This pressure cooker environment is the perfect breeding ground for the tragedy that is about to unfold. The catalyst for the story's central conflict is a seemingly minor event. The platoon is denied a 3-day pass. For these men, it's the last straw. Sergeant Messerve, seething with resentment and a warped sense of entitlement, decides the squad needs some portable R&R. His twisted solution is to kidnap a young Vietnamese woman from a nearby village to serve their needs. This isn't a spontaneous decision. It's a cold, calculated plan that he presents to his men. This is the moment the film pivots from a war story to a moral nightmare. The soldiers, led by Clark, eagerly agree. But Erikson is horrified. He immediately objects, arguing that it's a crime, a violation of everything they're supposed to stand for. His protests are dismissed with contempt. Messerve mocks him, questions his loyalty, and uses the powerful dynamic of group pressure to isolate him. "We're a team," he insists, implying that Erikson's refusal is a betrayal of the brotherhood. The other soldiers, caught between their sergeant's authority and their own buried consciences, fall in line. Under the cover of darkness, the squad enters a small village. They select a young woman named Tran Thi On. The scene is heart-wrenching. They drag her from her home, ignoring the desperate pleas of her family. Erikson can only watch, powerless and utterly alone. His dissent has marked him as an outsider, a threat to the squad's twisted unity. Back at their remote outpost, the unthinkable happens. Sergeant Messerve and the other soldiers, except for Erikson, brutally assault the young woman. Erikson is trapped. He's a pariah within his own unit. He tries to help Tran, offering her his canteen, a small gesture of humanity in a sea of barbarism. But his every move is watched. Clark threatens him, making it clear that if he tries to intervene or report them, he'll be silenced permanently. The psychological weight on Erikson is immense. He's surrounded by men he once trusted, men who are now his captors as much as they are Tran's. The situation escalates when the platoon is ordered on a reconnaissance mission. They are forced to take Tran with them. The plan is to eliminate her before they reach their objective, to erase the evidence of their crime. As they navigate the treacherous terrain, the mission becomes secondary to the internal conflict. The squad is a ticking time bomb. During a firefight on a railway bridge, the moment of truth arrives. Messerve orders Erikson to kill Tran. He refuses. In a frenzy of panic and cruelty, Clark and the others stab her repeatedly. In a final, desperate act, she tries to flee, only to be shot and killed by the soldiers. The official report claims Tran was a Viet Cong sympathizer killed in the crossfire. But Erikson knows the truth. The battle is over, but his personal war has just begun. Plagued by guilt and haunted by Tran's memory, he decides he cannot let this crime go unpunished. His quest for justice is a lonely and dangerous one. When he tries to report the incident, he is met with a wall of indifference and hostility. His superiors want to sweep it under the rug. It's just an incident, they say, worried about the bad press and the damage to morale. They transfer him, they intimidate him, they try to break his spirit. The men from his former platoon see him as a traitor. They stalk him, threaten him, and even attempt to kill him in a latrine, a scene that viscerally captures the danger he's in. Erikson is completely isolated, fighting not just the enemy in the jungle, but the enemy within his own army. He is a casualty of a different kind of war, a war for the soul of the military and for his own conscience. Just when all hope seems lost, a sympathetic chaplain listens to his story and helps him take it up the chain of command. Finally, the Army's Criminal Investigation Division gets involved. The case moves forward, culminating in a court-martial. The trial is intense. Erikson testifies against his former squadmates, recounting the horrific events in detail. The defense lawyers try to discredit him, painting him as a disgruntled soldier and twisting the narrative, but the evidence is overwhelming. In the end, justice is served, at least in the legal sense. Sergeant Messerv and the other soldiers are found guilty and sentenced to long prison terms. The film concludes with Erikson back in the civilian world years later. He has a chance encounter with a young Vietnamese woman who reminds him of Tran. The weight of his past is still with him. He tries to apologize, not just for what his comrades did, but for his own inability to stop it. The film leaves us with this lingering sense of unresolved trauma, suggesting that the true casualties of war are not just those who die on the battlefield, but also those who survive with their souls forever scarred. Casualties of War is a powerful and unsettling film. It forces us to ask difficult questions. What is the price of silence? What does it mean to be brave when the enemy is wearing the same uniform as you? It's a stark reminder that in the chaos of war, the greatest battle can be the one fought for one's own humanity. It's not an easy watch, but it's an essential one. A story that stays with you long after the credits roll. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into cinematic history. Let me know in the comments what you think of Casualties of War and its powerful message. See you in the next video.